So we need a slight clarification and an update to what was discussed previously on the Buzzcast. That's the name choices for the Utah Hockey Club, because it seems that Utah Wasatch is now out of the running as a potential name. It's being replaced by the Utah Outlaws. The team said the change came from fan feedback requesting that Outlaws be added as an option. So now Utah Outlaws is now in the survey, which is taking place at Delta Center during the team's 4 home games this week. And so fans will vote for the name between Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth, and Utah Outlaws. We'll have more after they decide. And this is your morning Buzzcast for Friday, January 31st, the last day of the first month of 2025. I'm Abe Madcore. Let's start with college sports. It was a very big day for the ACC and Commissioner Jim Phillips, as the conference will have their media rights remain with ESPN in an extension through 2036. This comes as their current deal with ESPN was set to expire in 2027. Now, we have talked about this on the Buzzcast, and now with media certainty, it really marks a crucial step in stabilizing the ACC. We know the conference is also working on a settlement with Clemson and Florida State that could end those schools' ongoing litigation against the conference. So much was at stake here. If ESPN didn't extend, it would have put the conference in totally long-term peril. I believe it could have started another wave of realignment. It's a huge win for Jim Phillips, who sources say worked pretty much every day on this for over a year. He had to get this deal done to solidify the long-term future of the conference and allow it to grow, especially after adding 3 new schools in SMU, Stanford, and Cal. But let's be clear, the ACC did not have a ton of leverage here. ESPN had all the leverage, and I haven't been able to determine the financials of this extension, but let's just say ACC schools are still far, far behind what the SEC and Big Ten schools are receiving in media revenue. Yes, that's a given, but Phillips and his schools now know their long-term future. They can try to generate new revenue through additional means. There is talk of establishing a creative fund that would make some of the unhappy schools in the conference happier by having a revenue-sharing formula where the larger institutions would be able to somehow close that revenue gap with schools in the Big Ten and the SEC, so you could see a percentage of revenue included in a new fund distributed to schools that generate the most revenue for the conference in football and in basketball. Of course, Clemson, Florida State, Miami, North Carolina, those would be likely at the top and receive the most. But the bottom line, let's have little doubt, it was a very important, pivotal deal and day for the ACC. Let's move on. On Thursday, we talked about an NWSL expansion team in Denver, a team that went for $110 million for the franchise fee before a new venue or training facility is even considered. A major investment overall. But don't overlook WNBA expansion, and Nashville is now in the mix, as former Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam and his wife Chrissy Haslam have submitted a bid for a W expansion team in Nashville, a star-powered group: Peyton Manning, Candace Parker, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill. The team would be called, I love this, the Tennessee Summit, a tribute to, of course, Pat Summitt. The team would not begin play until the 28th season and play at Bridgestone Arena, home of the Predators, a team that Bill Haslam also owns. Bill Haslam is also owner of the AA Knoxville Smokies and is the brother, of course, of Browns owner Jimmy Haslam. I will say, Bill Haslam, one of the most well-regarded, well-liked people in Tennessee. He is formidable, and this bid will be taken very seriously. But there are a number of other markets involved, and they want the WNBA as well. That's Cleveland, Houston, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Kansas City, all in the mix. Nashville's bid is strong, but I'd still keep my eye on the Philadelphia bid, especially with plans for a new joint arena with the 76ers and the Flyers. So that could put that market, that city of Philadelphia, in the leader's chair. I believe the expansion fee for this W franchise will be north of $150 million. By the way, the Haslam brothers, Bill and Jimmy, will be making a rare joint appearance on stage at the CAA World Congress of Sports in late April. You won't want to miss that. And early registration for that conference ends today on Friday. Go to our website for more information. Let's go back to some news. The UFL, the United Football League, that will kick off in late March. We know investors, including The Rock and Danny Garcia, are very bullish on spring football, and they continue to invest in this product and operation. The latest investment, they are now leasing more than 110,000 square feet of office space in Arlington, Texas for its football operations headquarters. They will be headquartered in Ballpark Circle. That's close to AT&T Stadium. It will serve as the league's really football hub for training camp and the season. There'll be offices for all 8 teams. The facility will include training rooms and a tech division and an innovation area. There'll be 3 other practice facilities nearby. While all teams, remember, play in their home markets, the more than 600 players, coaches, and staff will spend most of their time at this Arlington headquarters during training camp and the season. So from a business standpoint, the UFL will have all their teams, coaches, players, staff in one location. Pretty smart financially, logistically. Remember, the second season of the UFL kicks off Friday, March 28th. That'll be the first of many games held on a Friday this year. The league has added Friday night windows to its season. Those games will be on Fox. And as I said earlier, the league, again, will have 8 teams this year when it kicks off late March. So the UFL continuing to invest, this time with its national headquarters in Arlington, Texas. You know, yesterday I had a fun morning at the Charlotte Sports and Business Forum where I sat on a panel with Shelly Kayette-Weston from the Hornets, Eric Sudol from Tepper Sports, and Greg Bush from GMR Marketing. We talked about the sports business marketplace in Charlotte and the growth of the Charlotte market. Meanwhile, a new team will be coming to Charlotte as the Upshot League, mentioned earlier this week on the Buzzcast, will bring a women's basketball team to Charlotte in 2026. It will be owned by Zoyer Sports and Entertainment. That is the ownership group behind the Charlotte Checkers minor league hockey team here in the market. The team will play at Bojangles Coliseum. Of course, we talked earlier this week, the Upshot League, based in Jacksonville, Florida, will have 4 teams to start. The 4 markets, Charlotte, Greensboro, Jacksonville, and Savannah, obviously trying to generate regional rivalries. They'll tip off in May of 2026. Teams will play 40 regular season games, and they will draw their players from the college ranks. Season tickets will start at $44 per seat, at least in the Charlotte market. Is there enough interest in all these new leagues? There will likely be a shakeout. There will likely be consolidation. There's no way all these new leagues will find an audience. But for now, these leagues are all moving ahead and trying to find their space in the sports business. Speaking of women's basketball, do you want more proof of the cultural influence of Angel Reese? How many athletes get personal deals with McDonald's these days? No, not many. But Angel Reese will now be featured in the restaurant's promotion starting February 10th, where the Angel Reese special will be on the menu. That includes a barbecue bacon quarter pounder with cheese, with fries, and a drink. Angel Reese has made it known that she's been an avid consumer of McDonald's. She calls it a big part of her life. She loved the McChicken sandwiches. She was named a McDonald's All-American, so McDonald's is part of her background. And she becomes the first ever female athlete to have their own meal at McDonald's. That's very impressive, and it's impactful because you will see Angel Reese all over McDonald's promotion and at their restaurants. And you know the reach and the following of the brand. Let's face it, McDonald's has a legacy of being embedded in the culture of basketball, and now they see Angel Reese as the perfect fit to reach the next generation. I think that's an incredible compliment to her impact and influence. And we'll end on a name in the news. The Kansas City Chiefs are preparing to head to New Orleans, but will make a big, significant hire today as the team has named David Higdon as their new Executive Vice President of Communications. David Higdon, well known in PR circles, he spent more than 6 years at Riot Games as their global head of communications. He previously was at NASCAR and the LPGA. He fills a spot left by Ted Cruz, who went to the Chicago Bears in April. David Higdon will focus heavily on corporate communications and also work to expand the Chiefs brand globally. We have talked about the Chiefs' huge fan base. A lot going on with that franchise, and this comes as the club plans to either redevelop or replace Arrowhead Stadium and possibly build a new team headquarters. So a lot on the plate of the Kansas City Chiefs, and they bring on longtime PR veteran David Higdon. And so that is your morning Buzzcast for Friday, January 31st. I'm Abe Madcore. Stay healthy, be good to each other. I'll speak to you on Monday.